Dear Diary, this is an AQ2D Adventure Quest Worlds Infinity design post by Artix going over some of the stuff they're working on for AQ Worlds Infinity. Let's check it out. Today, I met with Reens, JX, and Ghost on remastering the dungeon known as Bludrut Keep. The dungeon is cursed by evil spirits. The monster-filled keep descends several floors underground. In the shadows of the keep's very bottom, there's a creature known as the Bludrut. Brave or not too bright adventurers go there to obtain the fabled Bludrut, is that right? Blade. We found some irony that our previous games all mentioned the Bludrut blade, but the weapon itself is nowhere to be found. It would appear that even our most expert players mistook the sword wielded by the Bludrut to be the fabled weapon, but it's not. The Bludrut blade remains hidden at the bottom of the Bludrut Keep, waiting for worthy hands to free and wield it in Adventure Quest Worlds Infinity, or at least it will be once we finish remaking the dungeon. Switching to building map content was a sudden departure from the intense feature work the team has been doing for the past few weeks, but we have at least 2 members of the team out with COVID, and we are also in a holding pattern waiting on some big code feature changes. So the rest of us have started a major content push. And this is old up here with new. Look at new icons for Warrior. Woo, that looks nice. Is that Warrior? It has been a few weeks since our last tech demo. It's been more than a few weeks, but anyways, with the new combat system, Alina asked me if it was possible to take all the feedback from the players and do a whiplash update, impressing players at how fast we could implement the changes and do a follow-up tech demo. After an enthusiastic yes on it, I got to work with the team and ended up rewriting combat, gutting the cutscene system, and committing at least 2 feature creep felonies that stuck us in a holding pattern. Worse yet, I kept waiting for some super good news like the announcement of the tech demo number 5 before making a post to update players. I have not written an update post for weeks, so I definitely need to write to them today and let them know everything has what we've been going on, especially the news about combat and the working Android version. What? They have an Android version working, so you can see some of the stuff. Look at all these. I don't even know what that means, but Menno Man. Spider and Immortal Joe have been eyeball deep in combat and stats. Based on feedback from the last tech demo, we are rebuilding the core 4 classes: Warrior, Mage, Rogue, and Healer, much more similar to how they are in the existing game, but with some improvements. Combat is going to be faster, and the effect animations will be a bit more flashier. Nolgath animated a bunch of new attack and slash animations. Many of the major skills will no longer miss. If you played the last tech demo, you'll be relieved to know that movement-based skills will leave you facing your target. In addition to those remastered versions of the existing classes, we will also be making new Infinity classes. These new Infinity versions of the classes will use a lot of features that are only available in Infinity, like hitbox-based combat and positional skills. Instead of mana, Infinity classes will now have their own resources: Fury, Chi, Spirit, Energy, Darkness, Bacon? This is still very much a work in progress, and I want to be transparent that we're still experimenting with ways to make this game's combat even more fun than the original, which is exactly what we need, because the combat can get rather stale in AQ World Infinity, which is why everybody bots. There's another image. You've got the cast target, camera focus, cast attach, cast target, camera focus, pop up. So that's the layout. Spider created a system called the Skill Forge, which is used for creating classes. It's far more powerful than what we had to work with in the original version of the game, to say the least. Last week, the team focused on the timing, sound effects, and feel of combat. There were a lot of brilliant things in the existing AQ worlds that we really took for granted. For example, look at the way your weapon turns white from frame 1 at the moment of impact, and how the monster also turns white. It creates the brilliant illusion that everything is contacting beautifully. There is an option that lets you turn that off. Nevertheless, little features like that define the style and feel of AQ Worlds. Battle on. While testing the 2 games, I would often sit in both games comparing the screens and inevitably go AFK. Players would find me and hang out, which was really nice. And then you've got these pop-up number things. Damage number pop-ups seems like a good place we could innovate. In the existing game, the damage numbers are just white text. Drawing inspiration from games like Diablo and, MapleStory, we had a super customizable damage pop-up which features color gradients, I'm not sure how to say that, the ability to be hit at an angle, which sort of makes it look like you're knocking your opponent's teeth out, and different text bounce effects. So this kind of gives you a rundown, and I think this looks brilliant. I love the look of these, and actually some of these do remind me, like this one here and this one here, remind me of MapleStory. I think that is really good to be able to take inspiration from other popular games and use them. Warlick has look at the setup. Artix and his awesome setup. Warlick has the cloud builder working. He published a dev version of Infinity on Android. It runs smooth. We found a few weirdisms, but that is expected and fixable. This is a major breakthrough of the game. We did have Apple and Android versions of the game working way back when we had a booth with the game at the PAX East convention, but that was a much simpler version of the game, and frankly, it was all held together with duct tape and super glue. This one will be heading to the app stores when it is ready. Ooh, that's going to be nice. So here we've got another setup right here. Pictured above, the sort of weird bugs that pop up when we build stuff that has nothing to do with this. Marked loot available, but it's not available, maybe? I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what the bug is, but anyways, there's a bug. On that note, we got a file size of the game down from 1.3 gigabytes to 180 megabytes. How? That's incredible. We still need to get it under 150 to not require Wi-Fi when downloading the App Store on your phone. Oh boy. And there's an image. Activate the Warlick symbol. We have been pinging Warlick for help so much, we just made this post in chat. Here's a nice little image of the PvP trophy shop, and you can see this Wrath of Nogath P, which is pretty bloody nice. That's pretty neat. I like that. The merge shops. Hiromi finished the merge shops crafting this week. Diagon did the interface. It looks great and is innovative. Resource. With inventory always being a concern, we have been talking about the possibility of adding a resource tab, which we would use for crafting material. We did this in AQ3D, and that is true. They did. There are tokens that you use in the resource part, so it doesn't actually take up any of your inventory. It's definitely something that they could do in AQ World Infinity. These crafting resources would not take up space in your inventory, no promises yet, but it seems very feasible if we are just able to figure out where in the inventory to stick a tab for it. Might be worth widening the inventory window, so it'd give basically and essentially another type of item, which would be resources, so that wouldn't take up inventory. Definitely something they should do. The Z order breakthrough. This is a Z best. Oh, sorry, this is the best. The other week, we solved the biggest pain in the backside of our armor that has been plaguing development. Hindsight being 2024, we should have figured this out earlier. When work on this started, Unity did not have a built-in feature to group 2D objects in the same way Flash does. So Warlick coded his own solution. But as we kept making things more complicated, adding particles and mix-matching monsters, characters, and special effects, things started clipping weird. Anyway, there was a relatively easy solution built right into Unity, and we started using it. It fixes the biggest issues we've been having with maps, cutscenes, and particle systems. Now we're going to go back through everything and remove all the ultra weird trickery we used to get around the issue. To any Unity dev reading this who knows the simple thing we started using, feel free to laugh when you find out we created 30 sorting layers and placed actors, monsters, and props in those layers and animated the layers they were placed on at runtime to have them properly Z-order in cutscenes. If I could only go back a year with the knowledge I have now. Facepalm. Here's a nice little image of I'm assuming this is the combat system. It's a bit grainy, so it's hard to make it out clear, but you've got the different bosses with the clones. This might be showing the thing they do to clone the enemies and stuff. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what I'm looking at, but anyways. On one hand, I feel terrible about the horrible amount of scope creep taking place in the cutscene system. What started as How about we make our own version of RenPy turned into nope, how about we make our own version of Flash with RenPy bolted on top of it? It was right call. What we're building is exactly what AQ Worlds Infinity needs to tell stories at the same level of emotion and quality as its namesake. Also, we need this in order to finally translate the games into multiple languages for our friends around the world. It is partially working, but it is currently in a really messy state. How do we finish it and put it into production? First step is to clean up the broken bits. We already merged the dialogue and cutscene systems together. Ghost built a bunch of text cinematics that we can load inside of it. We need to perfect how it works, smooth out all the awkward stuff. My design philosophy is, if it's easy to use, it will be used. If it's hard to use, people will avoid it. This is especially true of tools. I could write for hours about all the complicated issues that we need to solve inside the dialogue system. It's basically a custom visual novel engine built around a player's AQ Worlds character. If we can get the core stuff working and make it fun to use, then Infinity will have tons and tons of killer cutscenes. Building new content for AQ World Infinity. Wait, are you still building in Flash? AQ Worlds Infinity has a super weird design process. First, an artist builds a weapon in Flash, now called Adobe Animate. Then the item is added to the existing AQ Worlds and tested. Next, Warlick runs the Cloud Builder, which discovers all new items added to AQ Worlds and attempts to auto-convert them into the format that Unity can read. Then the Cloud Builder takes that file and publishes it to PC, Mac, Android, and Apple. Then, if you want to add animations or particle effects to an item, you import it and do your work inside Unity and republish. Pretty crazy, right? To the players wondering what will happen to AQ World when Infinity launches, they can now breathe a big sigh of relief. We're designing AQ Worlds first, then converting to Infinity. This is true for maps, monsters, weapons, and everything. This makes a lot of sense for a gazillion reasons. It's going to be a long time until Infinity catches up to the existing game. We will be remaking maps, classes, and monsters and sagas in Infinity starting at the beginning. It'll be fun. Sort of like the releases of WoW Classic or old school RuneScape. Infinity will release remastered maps way faster than they released in the original game. We will not know exactly how much faster until we're actually doing it, but you can see why tools like the dialogue system really matter. The better the tools, the better and faster we can remaster the stories. We've been championing the 80-20 rule. The game should be 80% the same and 20% better. The important thing is you will finally be able to log in and play AQ Worlds on your phone and tablet and have your stuff. It has been a crazy long time to build, but the tech demos have looked great and have been extremely promising. Tech Demo 5. On the topic of tech demos, we'll be doing the next one as soon as combat is solid. The updated plan for Tech Demo 5 includes testing the base classes, an adventuring area, maybe Bludrut, the loot system, new character animations, the crafting and merge system, and we made a bunch of core changes. So we need to see what we can break. Whoa, that is going to be a big tech demo. About the design notes and new posts, I've been sitting here writing this post at the used bookstore smelling rows of bookshelves and vinyl LPs. It's one of my favorite places to visit for inspiration and delicious coffee. Also, it's right next to a video game store. The team and I work on AQ Worlds every single day. It is crazy how much effort goes into it daily, but how could anyone know? Back in the days of Dragon Fable, MechQuest, and Adventure Quest 3D's development, I would start every day by writing a post. But writing full posts with a promo image daily has just not proven to be feasible on my current schedule. So I would like to try something new. Instead of making individual daily posts, how about I make a post at the start of the week and update that post every day? Sort of like how I updated the play-by-plays that we do during the tech demos and launches. Then I can report to you near daily with crazy stories and updates instead of writing a novel full post like this one. This would result in one post per week filled with daily updates. The search engines will probably think I'm spamming the same page over and over. Oh well, we can try it and find out. In fact, we could start by trying it right here at the end of this post. Check back tomorrow. Now, this was on Wednesday last week, I believe this post was... Oh, sorry, no, Friday. Oh, no, this was posted on Wednesday. The original post was posted on Wednesday, and then he posted on Thursday and Friday as well. So this is the Thursday update. I like how the fog seeps under the door in Bludrut Keep, and so we can see the fog right there. You've got this green fog creeping in underneath a door, which that does look really cool. I am in a voice chat with Reens and Ghost this morning, working on the Bludrut Keep's maps. There are 4 maps in total, 1 for each floor. They are themed after the elemental spirits which live in them. Of course, first you'll have to get inside. There's the outside of it. JX widened the first frame as it scrolls, and there are more room for monsters. Once you find the key, you'll use it to unlock the door. An opening animation will play along with a gloriously creaky door sound. Jungar. We have also been choosing Bludrut music. We will be using existing tracks, but would like to have 2 different tracks alternating on each floor, perhaps something different for boss rooms. Also, we're asking Arnix if we can do a glow up on the Spirit Slayer NPC. Ghost changed the dummy character to make it easier to see how weapons animate. I see the coders down in the other chat with their screen shared working on something furiously, waiting until they break to see what they are building. Now it's time to review the new Bludrut Keep script. Reens merged the original story and the Guardian story together. The dungeon used to split in half vertically, which meant free players could only go down the first 2 floors. This was a very old map, built way back before we did a much better design for players. This redesign will allow everyone to descend through the story and encounter the Gruglurk. So that's going to be a different change right there from Infinity to AQ World, because in AQ World you need to be a member to do some of that stuff, whereas in Infinity you don't. That's going to be an interesting change. On Friday, happy Friday, after the morning run with Zoom, he's so fast, lives up to his name. During these runs we talk about the things we're working on and sometimes have a breakthrough. How do you do that when you're running? When I'm running, I mean, I can talk a little bit when I'm running, but I focus mostly on breathing. Went home and immediately wrote a new animation controller to solve our how do we go both forward and backwards in dialogue cutscenes with all the weird loaded animations. I think this is going to work. Super excited to share it with Tunic. The main event today is working on the Bludrut Keep, but first, so you got an image here, character fixes. Ghost, Reens, and I are still working out the subtle differences between our characters in Infinity and the one in the existing game. It's so important that we get them as close as possible. Ghost made some super subtle tweaks to the idle pose, tilting the chin slightly, moving the leg and arms a hair. It's looking really good. Player character in the existing game has changed a few times over the past 15 years, so there's bound to be some weirdisms. One issue we are experimenting on fixing is the outline problem. You can see it if you look at the elbow, I think they mean elbow, in both characters above. Do they mean elbow? See that little line above the forearm? Is that little line above the elbow on the left? So above the forearm... So you've got this right here, but see, it doesn't go all the way across, and this one does. That line is not in the original. It's caused when the armor is exported from Flash to become pixel data. Turns out the mask we use leaves this little fine little... so it leaves a line of black. Warlock and Ghost are experimenting with a few things. Wish them luck. It is one of those bugs that we could live with, but you know me. I get really caught up and obsessed with these little things. And then you've got a dialoguer. Great. That's a dialoguer. Miss Girl and the dialoguer. Mr. Guy has officially been replaced with Miss Girl. Not sure if we talked about this in the previous post, but when comparing the AQ worlds and Infinity animations, we keep noticing things that are just not lining up right. Then we discovered that the AQ world animations were all done using a female-based model instead of a male, so Ghost switched them and reanimated a large amount of the character. Nolgath had a bunch of ideas to improve the model for animation too, including altering the belt and the bottom cloth so we could better see how it lined up. All that work is now complete. Great. I love talking. I like big chat boxes, and I cannot lie. All the other NPCs are gonna die. Woot woot. Peace. The dialogue cutscene system is heavily under construction, posting these two pics above for prosperity. Seeing what it looks like now and what it's going to look like when it is done should be a jaw dropper. Here you can see the text boxes are resizable, 9 sliced, and color customizable with dialogue bubble skins. So you can see the before and the after. But yeah, that's pretty neat. It's nice to have a tool like that. Meanwhile, Yoromi is coding chat improvements. We would like to have tabs for the different types of chat: world, private, guild, etc. Also, I would like an option to make the window huge for when we are just hanging out and chatting. That would also be nice. JX is working on a secret sliding fireplace and other things for the remastered Bludrut Keep. Despite being an older adventure, the plot is pretty dark. Yesterday, we spent a lot of time debugging the map machines that make things like the doors work. You never know if the tools we make are really ready until they've been tested in the heat of battle. For example, when unlocking the door to Bludrut Keep, you get the key and click on the door, but the thing that lets you click on the door was blocking movement clicks. Whoops! The state machine that runs the door had to be recoded to allow the devs to define when it could be clicked through or not. This is a sort of battle testing that I was talking about. Each thing that is battle tested becomes a reliable tool that we can use to improve every map in the game. I really do love this process. Have a good weekend. So, as you can see, there is a lot of work involved in making AQ World Infinity. So when the next tech demo is, we don't really know. They did talk about a tech demo coming up, but we haven't seen it pop up yet. So we're just going to have to be patient. Obviously, they are definitely coming up with a lot of really cool ideas that are going to make this game epic. Over the course of the last year, with the whole Nulgath thing going on in AQ3D, it is evident that mobile players do not like long grinds, and without using bots, they just won't do it. AQ World is known for doing long grinds, but most of those grinds were built with the botters in mind. With AQ World Infinity, they have a chance to steer away from promoting botting by minimizing long grinds and keeping the grinds human worthy. But I can't wait to see the progress being done on AQ World Infinity. That is it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching and keep those swords swinging.